Welcome to Norley Family Farms. In part 1 of this video, we're going to show you how we built this awesome DIY greenhouse out of 200-year-old upcycled windows. If you like the video, thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks. So originally I put the form around this and I was going to build the greenhouse on top of the concrete slab, but because it's cold and we're in February, we're going to pour the slab after we put the poles in the ground. So this is the following day. I got the footers dug before the snow came in, but it's supposed to warm up, get up to about 58, so a lot of this stuff should be gone soon. Better workable conditions, but they're all plumb. I'm gonna get these holes filled in. The dirt is still pretty soft, so it should pack in, not clump up too much around the footers. But once I get these 3 in, then I'll start off square and get the other side of the greenhouse in. I'm using our excavator to get these holes dug real quick, and should come together pretty nicely. I got these other corner poles in. I'm going about 42 inches down, that's the frost line. Just putting some temporary bracing on it. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting the ends, give them a little bit more detail. Made a little template here. And these are for the sides. This milled 2x8 is going to be our main bridge beam where the common rafters will attach to. So I'm going to get this templated out. The main bridge beam is going to be different than the sides. It'll have a different kind of flair to it. So I'll do that in a minute. So I got some of the upper bracings on that I cut yesterday, and I had to extend the middle pole because it was just shy of our rise for the roof, so that needed to be adjusted. So I did kind of a scab joint here, ran it in with some 4.5-inch flags, so it's all buttoned up real tight, and then that'll basically be sandwiched together. And then we notched out the top, so our ridge pole will go across and basically just nest right inside of that. That'll almost be mirror image for the other side here. So we got the 2 end poles in. The ends all squared up. The interior is mostly graded at this point. And this is gonna be our 8x8 opening in the end. That'll have some barn doors that are gonna have large glass windows that we've salvaged. So we went about 42 inches down. So at this point in the build, we are getting the ridge beam in place. Kristen was able to come out and help for this portion. Went pretty smoothly. We did one side at a time, and then we're able to put our pins in either end and fasten it in place. So I got all the rafters cut. The non-pressure treated ones I sealed so that they don't get attacked by termites or bumblebees and that sort of thing. So they're all ready to get installed, and I actually have one extra just in case one doesn't work out. You might have to come back for a second look. Kristen's going through some of the windows and figuring out which ones we're going to use and which ones we're going to set aside, primarily on the panes, if many of them had cracks in it, or if they were a little bit too rotten or too messed up. We had plenty of extras, so we had some room to be somewhat choosy. These were the windows that we ended up picking out. Seemed to be the best ones out of the batch that we had altogether. So we're putting our cedar 4x4s in place, which will basically be our casement for each set of windows. We did them 32 inches apart. Every other bay will have the upper window swing open and the lower ones are fixed in place. Kristen likes to come out and check on me and make sure I didn't slip off a ladder or end up in a snow mound somewhere. So we're getting our rafters on. We did 48 inches on center. Went pretty well. It only took us about 3 hours to get them all up and in the brackets that we had already on the ridge beam. And then we were able to put our hurricane ties on every rafter side to side. So this is just another view on the time lapse. Kristen's out there, as you see, being a trooper, or kind of helps having a second hand for some of this stuff. Made us go a lot faster, especially when you're trying to get things lined up on a ladder and stuff. So we were able to get all those rafters up the following day before the snow set in. We ended up getting about a half a foot, so it was nice to have some progress on the greenhouse before we had to stay inside for a little bit. So I'm putting the final 2 boards up on the upper band board area, one on the back entranceway and one on the front entranceway. Then I'll be able to move on to the siding and then the windows and get the doorways framed out. So what I decided to do on the siding beneath the windows is actually use some of the 2x10s that were not really in the best shape. They're a little weathered, a little twisted, but I knew I was going to be putting a whole lot of nails and screws in it and getting them straight. So move on to the doorways. There's going to be one front door, one side door, and then the double door in the back. Here's a couple still shots of the progress so far. We got some of the siding on beneath where the windows will be and some of the frame out for the doors. So I started on the roof that day. I'm using furring strips for purlins so that we can attach the polycarbonate roofing and also the channel that hooks them all together. So we did 2 foot on center all the way up and over the roof. Our mascot Chevy always out there helping carry stuff around, sticks and boards and stuff. This is some more views of us putting the furring strips up on the roof for the polycarbonate panels. Here's a close-up of our siding, kind of a rustic look. This is the stack of polycarbonate roofing that we're going to be installing. We woke up to another snowy morning and got to sweep off everything to get the polycarbonate roofing up. And we were hoping to be able to get everything on in one day, but we ended up being a few panels short all in all, so we had to make another trip out a couple days later and get that installed. So it was definitely a pretty cold day to be doing this type of work outside and trying not to slip off of the roof, but it went along pretty well for the most part. It's kind of funny because those tracks you're supposed to put like soap in, but because it was icy and wet out, they pretty much slid right together, no problem. So you want to put screws down the center of this track, and I'm doing one every 2 feet on the furring strip, but you have to pre-drill. And you don't want to sink the screws too far, otherwise the gaskets don't work on the screws. These tracks, there's only one way to install them. You have to install them with the large side down and the short side up. That way the water can run down the track and out the end of the drip edge. And I'm doing a 2-inch drip edge and a 2.5-inch overhang. This roof. They're not very specific on what side is up for your UV from this brand of polycarbonate roof, but it's the blue film up is for UV. So I like to remove the plastic prior to install. They say to wait until the end, but that's near impossible. You're trying to put screws in and everything else, getting it to sit into the track. So it's not like you're going to move the panel around that much anyway. You can scuff it if you're gentle with them. Take the plastic off. Easily off the top, and there is a film you'll have to take your gloves off for. And be careful, these edges are sharper than you think. Leaving the yellow on the top for now, until we get the rest of the parts for the roof. This basically just seats. Just start at one edge, and they'll start to seat right up. Once you got it even down at the edge there, then you can start to work it the rest of the way up the track.